Now it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Mark Newman. Mark is a friend of mine. He's a demanding communication trainer, as I know well. He has taught me some things. He's an incisive pro-life apologist. He's a galvanizing banquet speaker, as you'll hear in a minute. He's the author of a new book, Contenders, a church-wide strategy to unmask abortion, defeat its advocates, empower Christians, and change the world. It is a book which I highly recommend. It's a game changer, and I recommend you read it. Mark is president of Speaker for Life, a training firm dedicated to equipping pro-life advocates nationwide with public speaking skills. He's the former director of speech and debate at the University of California, Irvine, and taught in a doctoral program in the School of Communication and the Arts at Regent University. He's the co-founder of the Applied Bioethics program, which is moving to Cedarville University next summer. He's appeared on Fox News and in Time magazine. Mark recently relocated from North San Diego County in California to beautiful eastern Tennessee with his wife Sharon and their youngest son, Joel. Let's welcome Mark to the stage tonight.
You may be surprised to find that I have not always been the terrifying figure that is standing before you this evening. Some of you are looking at me thinking, well, wait a minute, didn't that guy just introduce you as a college professor? Well, yeah, but not any college professor. I'm a speech professor. You've all seen the stats, I'm sure, right? Public speaking is the #1 fear in the United States. Death ranks 6th. So I've been doing this so long, I feel like I should have my own brand, Dr. Mark Newman, striking fear into the hearts of students for over 30 years. But for most of my life, I've not been this guy. I've just been, Bud's son. That was my dad's name, Bud. It was his nickname since he was a kid. Funny thing, later on in life, he owned an orchid nursery. But, nobody ever laughed at my dad for being named Bud and owning an orchid nursery, because between the time he got his nickname and the time he owned the nursery, my father went on a 27-year-long, all-expenses-paid cruise with the United States Marine Corps. My father was 6'7", 250 pounds of retired lieutenant colonel. My dad had authority. My dad had command. My dad knew how to get stuff done, and he wanted to make sure that his kids knew how to get stuff done too, and so he used to catechize us. He used to sit us down and teach us using this thing he called Newmanisms. Now, Newmanisms they were short, military proverbs, some of which I don't think I can share with you this evening. But some of the ones that stuck with me were things like, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so listen twice as much as you talk and you might learn something. Can't, never did anything. And if something is worth complaining about, it's worth doing something about. You see, what my father was trying to teach us was that if you could know the truth, if you could act instead of whine, and then if you could just engage your will, you could overcome problems and obstacles and achieve great things. It's kind of like what the Apostle Peter writes in 1 Peter 1:13. He writes, prepare your minds for action. So, this evening what I'd like to do is look over these 3 facets of problem solving. Knowing rightly, assessing ourselves correctly, and engaging our wills to do God's will, to see whether or not we can create a lasting defeat for the evil of abortion in our communities, not sometime in the distant future, but right here, right now. One of the biggest barriers to problem solving, I've always thought, is just lack of knowledge. I will never forget a student walking up to me after the first speech assignment and said to me, so Dr. Newman, the outline that you want us to produce for you, I can't do it. You can't do it. No, can't do it. Why not? Was the assignment unclear? No, dude, you're totes the best professor ever. I just made that last line up. No, he said, no, see, in your outline, you want Roman numerals, and my computer's really new, and so it doesn't have Roman numerals. Does it have an I? Yeah. Does it have a V? So, bing! ding, suddenly the light bulb goes on and the kid starts to realize. Now, see, here's the deal. The kid was willing, right? Because fear of a threat, the threat of a failing grade is always an incredible motivator. He was also able. He had everything he needed. He had fingers. He had a computer. Mostly he had a brain, sort of. And he just needed somebody to turn the light on for him. Well, in the pro-life community, what we find ourselves frequently doing is just turning the lights on for people. So the first question that we have to answer in tackling the abortion issue relates to knowledge. I mean, none of this would matter if the unborn weren't human beings. So the question is, are they? Well, embryologists certainly seem to think so. Moore, Prasad, and Torchia, in the latest edition of their long-standing embryology textbook, titled The Developing Human, Clinically Oriented Embryology, in 2020, this is what they explain. Human development begins at fertilization when a sperm fuses with an oocyte to form a single cell, the zygote. This highly specialized, totipotent cell, capable of giving rise to every other cell type, marks the beginning of each of us as a unique individual. And they're not the only ones. I have this flip chart. This flip chart goes all the way back to the 1950s. This flip chart is called The Gift of Life, and in this little sex education manual, we are told, just like Moore, Prasad, and Torchia told us, if one of the male sperm meets and unites with an egg cell, a new life begins. Well, who distributed this beautiful little flip chart? The Planned Parenthood Federation of America. You see, Planned Parenthood used to know when human life begins, although they have suddenly developed a case of amnesia. And they're not alone. David Boonin, who wrote a book called A Defense of Abortion, which is probably the key book out there in academic circles defending the idea that abortion is morally permissible. Even he, I think, completely gives away the game in the preface to his book. In the preface, he describes his son Eli. And he says he has lots of photographs of Eli up on his desk. And then he says, in the top drawer of my desk, I keep another picture of Eli. This picture was taken on September 7th, 1993, 24 weeks before he was born. The sonogram image is murky, but it reveals clearly enough a small head tilted back slightly, and an arm raised up and bent, with the hand pointing back toward the face and the thumb extended out toward the mouth. There is no doubt in my mind that this picture, too, shows the same little boy at a very early stage in his physical development. And there is no question that the position I defend in this book entails that it would have been morally permissible to end his life at this point. It's important to note that both Planned Parenthood and David Boonin, they both support abortion. They both know that abortion ends a human life after it has begun. In other words, they know that they're killing human beings. They just believe that there's a class of human beings that it's morally permissible to kill. And not just kill, also to harvest. Dr. Carolyn Westhoff, the senior medical advisor for Planned Parenthood, in the undercover videos that were produced by the Center for Medical Progress, this is what she was recorded saying as she was discussing the harvesting and sale of aborted baby body parts. Well, we've just been working with people who want particular tissues, like they want cardiac, or they want eyes, or they want neural. I mean, certainly everything gonads, oh my God, gonads, everything we provide is fresh. And none of us are immune. Gary M. Atkinson, in his essay, The Morality of Abortion, published in the International Philosophical Quarterly way back in 1974, he evaluated all of the arguments that were put forward for abortion on demand, and the conclusion that this professional philosopher came to was that if all of these reasons put forth to justify abortion on demand in fact justified it, these reasons would be equally valid in justifying involuntary euthanasia. Folks, I think we know, or we certainly know now, that human life begins at conception. The other side, they want to muddy the waters. They want to obfuscate the issue. I'm going to help you to understand the pro-life position in 3 simple sentences. It is wrong to intentionally kill an innocent human being. Abortion intentionally kills an innocent human being. Therefore, abortion is wrong. Simple, really. But in your knowledge, have compassion. There have been any number of people, many of whom share pews with us at our church, that have been sucked into the lie of abortion. These people do not need further condemnation. What they really need is forgiveness and healing and restoration. And fortunately, all of that is provided through the shed blood of Jesus Christ. If anybody watching here tonight is dealing with the pain of a former abortion, maybe you've had one yourself or you helped participate in somebody else's abortion, I want to encourage you, please go to your pastor, sit down and talk, and find that there is a way forward. You do not have to be burdened or enslaved, shackled by an abortion in your past. But even with this knowledge, what keeps it from engaging our will? Well, a lot of times it's just distraction in the media. A lot of times we just don't think very much about it, and let's be honest, the topic has been made uncomfortable. So people will say, well, lots of issues deal with death. Why don't we just deal with those issues that are less controversial and not focus on these that are? So what happens is we focus on things like terrorism. So way back in 2001, there was the World Trade Center disaster. 3,000 people lost their lives that day. ISIS in the civil war in Syria, that war has claimed the lives of over 20,000 children. We focus on relief efforts on natural disasters. On March 21st, a few years back, the death toll from a tsunami in Japan was 18,000 people. The COVID-19 pandemic right here in the United States has claimed approximately 200,000 lives. But abortion in America alone has claimed more lives than those taken in the World Trade Center disaster, the children's deaths during the civil war in Syria, the Japanese tsunami, and all of the COVID deaths combined. Every 4 months. And if you take out the COVID-19 deaths, every 3 weeks. Do you remember, those of you who are old enough, do you remember when the World Trade disaster occurred? It was wall-to-wall coverage. 3,000 people lost their lives that day, which is pretty close to the number of children who lose their lives in abortion in America every single day. But unlike terrorism, unlike deaths from natural disasters, every single death from abortion is completely preventable now. Okay, so we know that abortion is the watershed issue of our day, that it kills children who, by the way, are created in the image of God. Even our opponents admit it. It scars parents. It impedes reception to the gospel. So why haven't we solved it? Well, one of the reasons is that a lot of people they think they lack the ability. Now, just because you think something's a problem doesn't always mean that you have the ability to solve it. It's true. I know, right, motivational speakers, they like to tell you things like, whatever the mind can conceive and the heart can believe, you can, come on, say it with me, achieve. Folks, it just isn't always so. I remember years ago, I was living in Southern California, and these ads would come on television, and in it there would be this tall, willowy blonde girl. She had long blonde hair. She was in a little white bikini, and she'd come running down the beach, right? And then she'd stop in front of the camera, and she'd toss back her big, golden mane of hair, and she would say, "Summer's coming. Are you ready for the competition?" Now, what she was selling was the idea that if you would go to their gym, you would look like her. Now, folks, I got bad news for you. If you are 5'2", no amount of time in the gym is going to make you look like her. It's never going to happen. And folks, it's not just a women's body issue thing. I mean, my son used to come home from college, and I always kind of wanted my wrists to be bigger. So my son said, "Hey, Dad, let's go to the gym and let's get ripped." And of course, at my age, I'm just trying not to rip something. And so, but I'm thinking, okay, I'll go there, I'll do the little curls and stuff, and maybe I can stop buying my watch in the kids department. And then I discovered something. No amount of exercise will make your wrists bigger. It's not possible because all that's here is like skin and tendons and bone. That's it. You can't do it. But see, fortunately, solving the problem about abortion is not the same thing as trying to reorient your entire genetic code. Abortion is not an unalterable condition. Abortion is a changeable decision. Abortion is an avoidable action. But the problem is a lot of people just simply think, it's such a huge problem, there's nothing we can do about it. And that kind of thinking leads a lot of good-intentioned people to give just enough to salve their conscience, but rarely enough to stop the killing, because they just don't think they can. Let me break it down for you. The only way in which abortion is a national issue is legally. That's the only way. Abortion is only a national issue legally. In fact, every individual woman contemplating an abortion lives locally, near somebody, and what that means is that you have the power, you have the ability to step into, to speak life into that woman's life so that she can choose a different path. She can choose not to abort her child, choose to give her life instead. You do not have to wait for some legislature or for the Supreme Court to issue some edict down from on high for you to be able to solve that woman's problem today. You can do it. The best part is everybody here tonight's got the ability. I know that you do. Everybody watching tonight, you have this ability to act. Everybody has financial resources. Everybody has a skill set. Everybody has the ability to pray. And this is, in fact, the three-pronged solution to the evil of abortion in our community right here, right now. And the best part is that you already have Hope with Options Pregnancy Care Center to partner with. And folks, we have been acting. Hope with Options saw 126 clients last year with nearly 550 individual client visits. This year, we're on track to see 152 clients and over 500 visits. And this is all in the midst of COVID. So it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish. And of our most at-risk clients, our abortion-minded and abortion-vulnerable clients with positive pregnancy tests, after counseling and ultrasound, 90% of those women choose life for their unborn children. And every year, some of our clients take the next step and they give their lives to Jesus. And yet, there are still 900,000 surgical and chemical abortions which occur in the United States every single year. We have a lot of work to do. Okay, knowledge is great. The ability to act is a tremendous blessing. But knowledge and ability, oftentimes they're just not enough. Do you guys have those nutritional posters at your fast food restaurants? Right, so you can look up at them and you can know the evil that is lurking in your double bacon cheeseburger, right? And yet you'll notice they haven't, unplugged the deep fat fryer. Because folks, knowledge all by itself, knowledge is never enough. In order for knowledge and the ability to act to be transformed into action, they need this third ingredient. You need to engage your will. So, every generation likes to believe that the problems that they face are unlike any that have ever been experienced any time in the history of humankind, and that's why, Dr. Newman, your call for me to engage my will just won't work. I got news for you. Problems really aren't that unique. You can pick up your Bible and you can find that all of the problems people were experiencing back there in Genesis, they're still experiencing today. Let me give you an example of a common universal problem. Women. Now, don't turn off your TV. This is the point where if we were at a live banquet, the director would they be calling for security to escort me out to my car. No, please listen to me. My wife and I, we were blessed with two sons. And so it fell to me as their father to teach them the rules about women because, we wanted them to date and get married and have kids. Now, if I would have had two daughters, believe me, I would have been talking about the problems of men and how, they could interact with men more effectively, efficiently, and get married and have kids, which is, I think, what my wife and I really, really want. So what do we do? How do we train up our kids? So I came up with these rules that I would teach our kids, rules of women. So here are a couple of them, and if you're a single guy, you can jot these down. Rule number one, was popcorn. If you take your girlfriend out to the movies, maybe for the first time, you'll walk up to the concession counter and you'll look at her and say, "So do you want anything?" And she might look at you and say, "No, that's all right. I'll just have a little bit of yours." If that happens, buy the next size up, because a little bit of yours always means at least half. The second rule is restaurants. My wife and I love to go to a restaurant and look around to see if we can find the people who are on their first date. Now, question, do you know what a guy orders for his meal on his first date out with a girl? I'm going to tell you, anything he wants. But I traveled for over 20 years with college students, and sometimes, on a 9-hour van ride, it's amazing what they want to talk about. So some of my students would tell me about it was like an algorithm that some of the women felt like they needed to go through to determine what they were going to order. Like, what should I let the guy see me eating? What am I wearing? I don't want to spill anything on it. It was amazing. So my wife and I like to watch two people sit down, and eventually, the food comes. And the girl looks over at the guy and she says, "Wow. Yours looks better than mine. Can I have a bite?" And so you are going to give her a bite. And after she eats it, she might say, "Wow, yours doesn't just look better than mine. It is better than mine." And you are going to pick up that brick of lasagna and you're going to swap it for the poached fish. That's what your cost and sacrifice. That is what great marital relationships are built upon. Now, interestingly, it's also the exact same thing that our faith is built upon. Listen to what James writes in James chapter 2, verses 14 through 19. "What use is it, my brethren, if someone says he has faith, but he has no works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is without clothing or is in need of daily food, and one of you says to them, 'Go in peace, be warmed and filled,' and yet does not give them what is necessary for their body, what use is that? Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself. But someone may well say, 'Well, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without the works, and I will show you my faith by my works.' You believe that God is one, you do well. The demons also believe and shudder." You can believe that abortion is a great moral evil. Good for you. See, the demons also believe, but they don't shudder. They delight. Because abortion is the signature attack of the enemy on the image of God in this world. If you ever want to find out exactly how the dark kingdom operates, listen to the words of C.S. Lewis. He's probably one of the most insightful teachers on the tactics of the enemy. Listen as his demonic character Screwtape mentors Wormwood, a junior tempter, in his book, The Screwtape Letters. He says, "My dear Wormwood, the great thing is to prevent the man doing anything. As long as he does not convert feelings into action, it doesn't matter how much he thinks about this new repentance. Let the little brute wallow in it. Let him, if he has any bent that way, write a book about it. That is often an excellent way of sterilizing the seeds which the enemy places in the human soul. Let him do anything but act. No amount of piety in his imagination and affections will harm us if we can just keep it out of his will. As one of the humans has said, active habits are strengthened by repetition, but passive ones are weakened. The more he feels without acting, the less he will be able ever to act. And in the long run, the less he will be able to feel. Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape." Make no mistake, the enemy really wants you to know that abortion is bad. He doesn't even mind if you think that it's evil. He will even encourage you to feel bad about it. None of that None of the knowing, none of the thinking, none of the feeling is any threat at all to him if he can just keep it out of your will. What the enemy really fears is that you will know the truth, that you will examine your God-given abilities, and that you will engage your will to do God's will. How will we do it? Fortunately, it's really simple. Look right below this video and you're going to see 3 buttons. I want us to focus on the middle button, the print pledge form button. Some of you already received pledge forms. You got them as part of your invitation package. But some of you, you only came through online and so you never received a pledge form. You can get a pledge form if you'd like to fill one out by clicking on this button. It'll download it to your desktop and then you can print it out. But don't fill it out yet because I haven't told you what to do. Just wait. When we get to the end, we'll walk you through it. Tonight, there are 4 distinct ways that we can engage our will in God's service. The first way is that I want you to commit to pray. Now, none of this is going to matter if God is not in it. So I need you to pray for the staff, for the volunteers, for the clients at Hope with Options. I also need you to pray not about whether you're going to be involved with us, but about how you're going to be involved with us. One of the ways that you can do that is by taking the second step, and that is to volunteer. There are 3 kinds of volunteers we are in desperate need of right now. One is a concrete contractor. Secondly, we need a roofer. And thirdly, we need a real estate expert. And I will explain all 3 of these here in just a moment. But if you can do any of those things, if you are in fact a concrete contractor, if you are a roofer, if you are a realtor, right on your pledge form, you may write that on here and we will contact you. If you don't have a pledge form or aren't planning on using a pledge form, you can contact us directly. Also, Hope with Options Pregnancy Care Center, you've taken a look at our statistics. Our statistics show we need to grow. So over and above our normal operating expenses, here are some of the things that we need. First, we need $25,000 in order to hire a nurse manager to provide support and care for the clients who come in and also provide professional standards of care to those clients. This RN is going to serve under the general supervision of our medical director and our executive director. We also need $4,500 to get a year of Thrive and Hope Sync. What Thrive does is it manages our social media for us. It creates a bunch of content across a bunch of different platforms and helps to reach out to the very people we need to get in touch with. These kids aren't looking so much at television anymore. They're looking at social media. We've got to find a way to be able to reach these young women and young men right where they are. Secondly, Hope Sync provides instant access to documented text and video that answers all of our clients' concerns. They can either watch them right there in the clinic, we'll text it to them, or they can get it on their phone and then watch it later when they get home. We also need, and this is where we get into the concrete contractor part, we need a new concrete parking lot. Right now, in our parking lot, we have a trench. It's very important that we have good quality parking so that when our clients come in, they've got a safe place to be. So we need somebody who knows how to do that, so that's why we need a concrete contractor, but we also need the money to be able to pay for it. We additionally need a new roof, and now you know why we need a roofer. Now, you might be wondering, why do we need a concrete parking lot, and why do we need a new roof, when I'm also telling you we need a realtor, which indicates we may be moving? Well, the fact of the matter is we need to retrofit our current location so that we can sell it, and then we're going to take the proceeds from that sale and add it together with the proceeds we're going to receive tonight, and we need $300,000 in order to get into our new building. So we've outgrown our current location, and we just need more room to serve more clients. So how are we going to accomplish all this, folks? Well, I'll tell you how. It's really simple. I need you to write a big check. Now, what is a big check, I hear you cry? A big check is a check that is so big that when you sign it, it hurts you a little. Now, I have no idea who's watching here tonight. I don't know what your circumstances are, but I'm going to let you know that statistically speaking, there are people watching tonight who could easily write a check for $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 and frankly, not even blink. There are others of you tonight watching that if you gave a gift tonight of $500, $300, $200, $100, that amount of money would represent a titanic sacrifice. I have no idea who's who tonight, But I will tell you this. If you are watching tonight with your spouse, I know two people who know. God and your spouse. Right? They know. Now, guys, gentlemen, I want to talk to you specifically for just a minute. See, the problem is the mass media keeps telling you this is not your issue. They keep telling you that if you don't have a uterus, you don't get an opinion. They have literally tried to sideline our men. And you know, sometimes the church hasn't done much of a better job. They keep telling you about this women's ministry. Gentlemen, you need to understand what happens inside the doors of our center every single week. It's not like the ladies' knitting circle. No offense to those of you who knit. It's a battlefield. People are literally making life and death decisions. The spiritual warfare is immense. We must have our men on board if we are going to be successful. And so I'm going to ask you to do an interesting thing this evening. If you are watching tonight and you're sitting there, men and your wives, you guys are watching together. Ladies, I know a lot of times you're the one who pulls out the checkbook and writes the check. Gentlemen, tonight, I want us to write that check. And I want us to write that check to demonstrate that we are in solidarity with the saving of the lives of these children created in the image of God. And I want you to not just sit down with your wife and talk about it and give, quote unquote, I don't know, permission. I want you to lead. Also, tonight we need to know where our monthly funds are coming from. And to do that, we need monthly pledges. Now, for some people who are watching tonight, you can give $1,000. You could pledge that every single month. For some of you, it would be $500. Others might be $80. Others of you, it might just be $40. But folks, just 10 new monthly donors at $40 a month would completely pay for our new digital outreach program. That's it. I want you to pray about what you can really do. Now, the more you know about our ministry, it's amazing how many monthly donors we have. Let me tell you why it's amazing. I want you to think for just a second about all that we do and how many monthly donors it requires to sustain that work. You got a number in your head? Okay, now I'm going to tell you what it is. 72. We have 72 monthly donors currently. Folks, we need to massively increase our number of monthly donors. We really need you to step up and give monthly. So how are we going to do all of this? Well, I mentioned that we have donor forms, and you can go ahead and print out your pledge form. When you do, it's very simple. You just put in your one-time gift, and then you can give a monthly gift. You can have a new automated monthly gift. You can increase your current monthly gift, and then you can give by credit card if you prefer. All you have to do is print your name, put in your signature, your date, your address, and your city, state, and zip, and put in your email address, please. We promise not to spam you, but we need it because it's the easiest way for us to get in touch with you. If you don't want to give through a credit card, that's fine. You can put a check in here, and then we can auto-debit your checking account. Just go ahead and fill out this form, but when you're done, don't wait. Take the check, put it with your pledge card. Make sure that you get the address on the envelope. Fold it up, put it in the envelope, lick it, stick a stamp on it, and then make sure that you get this into the mail tomorrow. Now, some of you are looking underneath the video and realizing, no, there's another button here. It says I can give online now, and you can. The second button just simply says donate now online. All you have to do to give online right now is click on that button. It's going to take you to our online donor page. Once you're there, you can fill out all of your pledge information for a special gift tonight, and then fill out your giving information, all of the information that we need, including your credit card, your billing address, all of that, and then click on submit. Now, I've told you though, I would really like it, and I think most of you would like to be able to give a one-time gift and also a recurring gift. And in order to do that, you're going to have to go through the process twice. Finally, if you had an interesting time tonight, if you know the people who are watching the program, but you also know a lot of people who aren't, and you really wish they could have been here tonight. I'm talking about friends, family members, friends at church, pastors. It used to be you would have to wait a whole year before a banquet would come back around again, but no, we are actually making this event available to you tonight through a watch party. So you'll notice down on the right underneath this video, over to the right, it says host a watch party. And folks, we aren't just asking if you'd like to host a watch party. I'm telling you, we are counting on you to host a watch party. If you will click on that button, it's going to open up a page for you. It's going to give you all the instructions. It's unbelievably easy to host a watch party. And the great part is it'll be your watch party hosted by you. you can invite all of your own friends. You can do it old school where you can call people up or you can email people. They can come over to your house, have a lovely meal, and then you can watch the event together and then walk them through the donation forms. Or if you're the kind of person who wants to be part of the program, we actually have a watch party that is online with chat. So while the program is playing, there'll be a bar over on the side where members who are not in the same household, you can chat to each other. Although, maybe some of you would chat to each other even if you were sitting across the room. Nevertheless, you can do it that way. Also, you can do a watch party for your whole church, a church-wide watch party. In that case, you press on that button, and then when we can all get back together as congregations, maybe later in the year, maybe during Sanctity of Human Life Month, you can put on this entire program for your whole church, pray about how much you can give, listen to God, and then I just want you to do it. It's just 4 simple steps. If you want to volunteer, write it on the pledge card. If you're giving by the pledge form, act tonight. Make sure that donation gets in the mail tomorrow. If you're going to give through the Donate Now button, just remember to do it twice and then host a watch party. It's simple. That's literally all that there is to it, and it will extend the influence of the work. Folks, we live in a world that is literally perishing for lack of knowledge because too many people are too timid about their own abilities in the Lord, and they're afraid of the cost that might be associated with acting. But tonight, we know the truth. Tonight, we know we have the ability to act. So only one thing remains: for us to engage our will to do God's will, to save the lives of small children in the wombs of their mothers, fellow image bearers of God. So when our event is over, and it's about to be over, I want you to bow your head. I want you to lift your heart to God. And then I want you to act as God watches and leads.
Thank you, Mark, for your challenge, and thank you for what you are doing tonight. We appreciate you and we love you. Thank you for being a part of Hope with Options. And as we close, just a couple of more instructions. One is, if you had a pledge card and filled that out, let's fold it up, let's put it in the envelope, let's get that thing in the mail tomorrow. Let's stamp it and send it first thing in the morning. And if you went online, just a reminder to go back and make that second recurring gift. All of our one-time gifts will go to work for the ministry tomorrow, but it's those recurring gifts that will build the ministry for years to come. So if you would, make sure and make that second gift. And then finally, let's click the link that says Host a Watch Party. Once you click that link, you'll get instructions for how you can expand this event with your friends and with your church. Just click the link, go in there, and everything will be there for you. Because if we will host watch parties, this event can grow exponentially. You can host a watch party in your home with just a few friends. You can use the chat feature that you'll see when you click the link, so that even if you're not in the same place, you can be watching at the same time with your friends. And then, of course, as we begin to gather in our churches, you can do the same thing. You can take this event into your church and host a watch party there. So click the link, find out more, because if we do this, this could and will be the largest fundraising event we've ever had for Hope with Options. So I encourage you to click that link and host a watch party. With that said, why don't we close in prayer with a great evening that's taken Hope with Options to the next level. Father, we thank you for this evening. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for the opportunity to give. Thank you for offering us the opportunity to be a part of Hope with Options. And I pray that you'll use what we have done tonight and in the days ahead to make Hope with Options the first choice for women and men facing an unexpected pregnancy. That you would be glorified, that lives would be changed and lives would be saved because of what we did here tonight. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for coming. And I look forward to our next event when maybe we're in person next year.